The Maxim Tires Elite event on the St. Johns River. The land of the Giants has been a memorable adventure. So why don't we take this opportunity to refresh our memories and hit some of the high spots. We crank up the final edition of the Humminbird Unlock the Lake.
Exactly right, Tommy Sanders. Been an interesting, diverse week on the St. Johns River. First area we're going to take a peek at is east side of Crescent Lake, somewhere we have seen tournaments dominated long ago in a galaxy far away in our Humminbird Unlock the Lake. We're going to start with Greg Hackney on that east side of Crescent, and here was the only problem. The benefit was, on Bassmaster Live, the shad spawn lasted about 60 minutes to 90 minutes. Custom-made Strike King spinnerbait right there. Looks like it's got about 30 little blades on it. Actually doesn't, only has 4, but hard cover where a lot of those shad would spawn in the morning. So many anglers tried to get that bite to go, but very few made it to Championship Sunday. The interesting thing, though, with Greg Hackney on the east side of Crescent, when that bite died off, so did his catch. But a very solid top 10 finish for Greg Hackney.
Every time we're here, Tommy Sanders, Greg Hackney has a great finish. Only one slip up in all of the times he's visited here. And every afternoon, maybe one upgrade, maybe 2. But if this was a tournament just based off the first 90 minutes of the day, Tommy, Greg would have been your champion.
One of the guys people were looking to as a favorite coming in here, the Florida native, Drew Benton.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm really looking at Drew Benton's day doing the same thing, going for it on Championship Sunday, living on the east side of Crescent, getting it done with a spinnerbait. But again, right after that bite died, a lot of Drew Benton's work was done in the canal systems throughout St. Johns River, catching this big one right here off a bed. And looking, kind of gauging his week, a 3/8 ounce dirty jig. Swimming that jig on high tide. He said a lot of those big fish would be on the inside of the pads in these canals. And when that tide would drop out, they'd be on the outside. Solid finish for Drew Benton.
Every single day, it seemed like he got a little bit better every day, and moving up from 9th on the final day, Tommy, to have gained a couple extra $1,000 and more needed points because he started a little slow this year.
Also fishing his way into the top 10. Very, very solid, consistent effort from the former college national champion, Jacob Foutz.
Jacob Foutz, really, he was the king of Rodman Reservoir. Said he had a 300-yard radius in Rodman. Looking at about 10 to 15 feet of water, a lot of submerged timber that had schools of 20 to 50 bass. One of the only anglers in our field of 10 on the final day using forward-facing sonar, getting it done with a Yozuri topwater bait and a Baby Z2 on a jig pin.
Jacob's been keeping it going since last year's Northern Swing, Tommy. St. Clair, Champlain, and the St. Lawrence River, all good finishes for Jacob Foutz, and then he rolled it into a great start to the season. He's in the top 10 in points because he has dialed in this style of fishing to his benefit.
The scenery never changed for Jacob Foutz, and that's a great thing because he was left alone pretty much in this spot all week long. Jacob Foutz with 17-11, 18-12, and 18-4. Brad Watley, one of the great comeback stories of the year so far. Incredible. 95th place on day number 1.
Day number 1, 2 bass for 8 pounds and 9 ounces. Backs it up with 20 pounds, then 31 pounds on day 3. Taking a look at what he was doing starting off out in the main river on the final day of competition. And here's the amazing thing. We took a lot of peaks at Crescent. He said where he went wrong was day number 1. He tried to get that shad spawn bite going in Crescent. He said when he ignored that and went to the bottom of Lake George on day number 3 is when he put the meat in the locker. Great finish for Brad Watley.
And this has been a place that he has had a lot of success. This state of Florida, he might be from Texas, Tommy, but 8 elite events in this state, only 1 missed cut, and more times than not, we'll see him doing well into day 4.
Started his career down here with a good finish, but man, you talk about the best finish of all. Definitely belongs to this guy who started out his career down here also.
No doubt about it. Cory Johnston looking for his first Bassmaster Elite Series win, calling an audible on the final day. Majority of his damage was done in Salt Springs, probably the biggest community hole on the St. Johns River. Said, I'm done with it. I'm absolutely going to live out on that main river and flip lily pads. That's exactly what he did.
Oh, way smaller.
Slid back into Salt Springs a little bit on the final day, but you could tell it was pretty much worn out, then faded back out to the main river, flipping pads, and fair to say, one of the most dominating performances we have seen on the Bassmaster Elite Series.
No doubt about that, and the stats back it up as well. The second biggest margin of victory in Elite Series history, Cory Johnston, over 20 pounds.
Wow.
Now we have 3 Canadians with wins on the Bassmaster Elite Series, and that is it. Your Humminbird unlocked the lake for the St. Johns River and the Max and Tire Elite event.